Namaste. Thank you so much for the invitation to have this wonderful morning with all of you. I happen to be the last speaker, and I don't really want to stand between all of you and a really soul-stirring lunch, which I'm sure they've planned here. I do want to share some thoughts, though. And the first one which comes to my mind is that, Dr. Reddy, my father, who started this hospital, has 4 daughters. And if there had been a son in the family, because we come from a very traditional Andhra family, I may not have been standing here talking to all of you. It would have been the sons who were really taking on the father's business. And there's no going away from that. And that is something which happens a lot in our country and probably globally also. So if the women really have to make a mark in what they do have to work extra hard. Or there's probably no male child to take on what the father is doing. And these things are the way of the world, and it's something which we have to accept. I woke up this morning, and the first thing I did was, there was a gadget, technology, which the alarm went off, used another gadget to turn off the air conditioning, had a hot shower, again, powered by technology, dried my hair, powered by technology, checked my flight details, powered by technology, got into the car, again technology, took out my iPad and checked what was happening in the ICU, breakthrough technology. But that happened, got on a flight, whatever, I'm here. Every piece of action which we do today is powered by technology. But ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you this, that we are 30% of the women in this country. We're the women which belong to India, which all of us talk about. There's another 70%. There's a lady called Malleshwari who lives in the village which, my father comes from. She wakes up in the morning when the sun rises, so it's the rays of the sun which wake her up. She goes to the nearby stream to do whatever she has to do first thing in the morning, lights firewood, cooks for her husband, who goes out into the field. Organic farming, simply because, technology hasn't reached them, no other reason, even though it's fashionable. They farm, they come back, they eat. Children go to a nearby public school where there are no teachers. And that is life in our country also. So there's this huge divide. And when all of us are looking, talking, understanding what is happening in India, there's a huge paradox in the system. There's phenomenal advances in technology on one side. We're capable of sending a satellite into space. Our mobile technology is among the best in the world. But on the other side, the paradox is that, if you go 100 miles out of where we're sitting, there's no good, clean drinking water. And this is probably a global phenomenon in a lot of countries. And that is what leadership is all about, is that, if we can make a difference in places like this, if we can use technology to really give them safe drinking water, make the world, the planet a better place for people to live in, then we would have done our job. And ladies and gentlemen, each one of us has a role to play. It's very easy to say somebody in a leadership position, somebody an MD of a country can do this. I think each one of us can actually go out and in our own sphere of activity make a change. I was trying to understand what technology was all about. And you Google a word and it comes up that it was a Greek word and it came from Greek, which said technique and so on and so forth. But then I thought about it, and when you think it through, there's a yin and yang in everything we do. The yang, the male force, actually is the one who really discovers things. Whether it's the wheel, whether it's the knife, whether it's the hatchet, whatever it is, it's the male force which really does it. But it's the female force who uses a lot of technology. And in today's world, whether we like it or not, whether it's just a car or a tabletop where you're cooking in the kitchen, whatever you do, the women seem to use much more of technology than the men do. And that is probably the greatest balance which is happening in the world. There's a spiritual balance and there's a mental balance to this. Because I think by women using technology, you actually use it with a sense of driven by the heart, more than the head. Technology is safer in a woman's hand. And I've seen it wherever I read and wherever I understand. you'll have to excuse me for saying it because Guruji has taught us one thing. He says, please say what you feel and don't worry about being diplomatic. So I think technology is really very safe in a woman's hand. And a lot of us who interact with technology have come to live with it. But I come from a healthcare background, and I think that has really impacted the way we deliver healthcare in this part of the world. We are one of the largest telemedicine providers because there was a huge challenge in our country, and that was of geographical challenge. How do you take healthcare of global standards to a remote location? And it actually came from Israel. The first telemedicine technology came from Israel. And I think India is one of the largest telemedicine users globally to interact with physicians in remote locations, give them a second opinion service, try to find the onset of disease and stop it before it becomes an epidemic. So a large amount of telemedicine work is actually happening in our country. So that was one application. Again, there's e-learning. We do not have enough skilled manpower for our healthcare initiatives. We don't have enough manpower to man the public health units and the private health. So what do private sector people like us do? Bring in systems of e-learning where we have 20,000, 30,000 hours of content, and then use technology to take it to remote locations. So there's schools of nursing training centers, which are, for skill development in the smaller villages, and this content is taken to them. So we have trainers from Johns Hopkins, US, we have technology from Stanford, and all these classes are taken to the remotest locations in India. And I think that is where, again, technology has impacted. Another interesting example is in the state of Tamil Nadu, where I work, they're village healthcare workers. A lot of the data which they send back to the central station is from a palm top. They've been trained to use technology to such an extent that the moment there is a childbirth, all the sugar values are scanned for that small area which comes under them. If somebody has a chest pain, all the data is beamed back to a central command, and this was developed within our own country, and it's really impacted. It's literally saving lives. So that's another example of how, technology has been able to save lives. But the future is very exciting. How many of you don't have a cell phone in your hands? See? Those days we would have said, how many of you have a cell phone? But today we're saying, how many of you don't have? But many of us don't realize the fact that this can actually be your walking doctor. You can get SMS alerts to remind you just to take your vitamins. You can get an SMS alert to see that your husband eats healthy, that you actually give him good healthy food and you don't load it with a lot of TLC and all the unhealthy stuff which makes it exciting, not healthy. You can get SMS alerts on this phone for you to go back and check if you are feeling good that day, because a lot of women, I think, tend to neglect themselves. They're the last on the priority list. So this gadget is actually your friend in terms of your healthcare needs. You can have your medical records on it. You can carry your blood group on it, so on and so forth. So the applications of mHealth today have become phenomenal. And as I was telling you a little earlier, if a person like me is responsible for, I'm responsible for 8,000 beds, and it's humanly impossible to really be where 8,000 beds are. So then technology comes in, and when I have some time in the morning, the first thing I have to do is to use technology to check if the parameters in any one of these centers are doing well. Are the infection rates high in a hospital? If they have, what are the interventions which has come in? And all that is because technology has been helping us do it. And today, a doctor who's sitting, maybe he's gone to play golf that afternoon, but if there is a problem in the ICU, he can use his iPad to do a virtual visit. and really check on the patient parameters, give instructions so that lives can be saved. So I think coming from a healthcare background, because frankly that's all I know, I don't know anything beyond healthcare, that technology has really impacted the way we touch lives, it's impacted the way we save lives, and I think the future really depends on us how we use it. Again, I'm very fond of saying this because there's always a human element to the way healthcare is delivered. And for the sake of being high-tech, we should never forget the fact that we're high-touch. You know, it's about touching lives, bringing in the human element to delivering healthcare. And if we forget that, it's a lost battle. We've forgotten the work we do. So I think high tech and high touch have to be like the yin and yang in life, you know, go together and completely focus on really making it a better planet to live in. So live well and stay healthy, and thank you so much for the invitation.